You feel it before you can name it. There's this low-level hum of confusion that follows you out of certain conversations. You close your phone or walk away from someone, and something feels off. But when you try to explain it, even to yourself, the words don't come. You replay the conversation. You look for the moment where it went wrong. You look for what you did. And sometimes you find something small. A tone, a word choice, a look. And you hold on to it like evidence. See, it was me. I pushed too hard. I was too sensitive. I always do this. Here's what I need you to consider. That thought, the one that says the problem is you, might not be a conclusion you reached. It might be a conclusion someone taught you to reach. Emotional manipulation is not always loud. It's not always a raised voice or an obvious lie. In its most effective form, it's almost invisible. It operates in the space between what was said and what was meant. It rewires the way you interpret your own emotions. And the most disturbing part? The person doing it might not even be fully aware they're doing it, which makes it harder to name, harder to leave, and almost impossible to explain to anyone who wasn't in the room. So let's go through it, not as a checklist, but as a mirror. The first sign is guilt that arrives without a crime. You know this feeling. You didn't do anything wrong, or at least nothing that should warrant the weight of what you're carrying. But somehow, at the end of the interaction, you're the one apologizing. You're the one who made them feel this way. The manipulator doesn't say, "You hurt me, and here's why." They perform hurt. They go quiet in a specific way. They sigh at the right moment. They make a face that says everything without saying anything, because saying it out loud would make it too easy to refute. This is guilt tripping disguised as emotional expression, and it's devastatingly effective because it exploits something genuinely good in you, your capacity for empathy. You don't want to hurt people, so when someone signals that you have, your first instinct is to fix it. The manipulation lives inside that instinct. The second sign is that your reality is constantly being negotiated. You remember something one way. They remember it another way. Fine, that happens. Memory is imperfect, and healthy disagreements about the past are normal. But with a manipulator, it's not a disagreement. It's a verdict. That didn't happen. You're exaggerating. You always do this. You blow everything out of proportion. Over time, this does something insidious to you. You start to distrust your own perception. You stop trusting your gut. You start running your feelings through their filter before you allow yourself to have them. This has a name: gaslighting. The term comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, in which a husband slowly manipulates his wife into believing she's losing her mind by dimming the gaslights in their home and then denying anything changed. The metaphor is almost too perfect, because that's exactly what it feels like. Things are shifting around you, and you're the only one who seems to notice, and everyone keeps telling you the lights look fine. The third sign is that the fault always finds you. Every conflict, no matter how it started, somehow ends with you holding the blame. They exploded, but you provoked them. They lied, but you made them feel like they couldn't tell the truth. They pulled away, but you were too needy. This is called blame shifting, and it's one of the most disorienting patterns in manipulative relationships because it weaponizes your own introspection against you. Thoughtful people ask themselves, what's my role in this? That's healthy, but a manipulator learns very quickly that you do that, and they count on it. They know that if they apply just enough pressure, you'll find a way to absorb the responsibility. Because you're the kind of person who reflects. And reflection, in the hands of someone unscrupulous, becomes a trap. The fourth sign requires a bit more distance to see, because it only becomes visible as a pattern over time. It's the cycle of warmth and withdrawal, sometimes called love bombing followed by punishment. In the beginning, or after a rupture, the attention is overwhelming. The warmth is almost suffocating in the best way. You feel chosen, seen, adored. And then, gradually or suddenly, it disappears. They become cold, distant, unavailable. And you find yourself doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out what changed, what you did, how to get back to the warm version of them. Here's what's actually happening. The warmth was never unconditional. It was a reward. And the withdrawal is a punishment, even if no one ever calls it that. Your nervous system learns the pattern before your mind does. You start walking carefully. You start monitoring their mood at the door. You start shaping yourself to keep the temperature up. And slowly, without noticing, you become someone who is managed by another person's emotional climates. The fifth sign is what I call the suffering Olympics. And once you know this one, you will see it everywhere. You come to the relationship with something hard, a bad day, a loss, a fear, and anxiety. And somehow, before the conversation is over, you're not talking about your thing anymore. You're talking about their thing. Maybe they pivoted. Maybe they one-upped your pain with something bigger. Maybe they became so visibly distressed by your distress that you ended up comforting them. The dynamic flips. Your need disappears. And there you are again, taking care of someone else while your own thing sits in the corner, unaddressed. Done once, this is just bad timing. Done consistently, it is a pattern of emotional erasure. Your needs are never the point. You exist in this dynamic as a supporting character in someone else's story. The sixth sign is subtler, and it lives in your body more than your mind. You start walking on emotional eggshells. You know the phrase, but I want you to feel it physically, because that's what it actually is. It's the way you pause before sending a message to read it 5 times, not for grammar, but for how it might land. It's the way you edit yourself in real time, mid-sentence, when you see their expression shift. It's the way you feel a small spike of anxiety when their name appears on your phone, because you never quite know which version of them you're going to get. This hypervigilance is not a personality trait. It's not you being anxious or sensitive. It's a learned response. Your nervous system adapted to an unpredictable environment the only way it knows how, by staying permanently alert. The tragedy is that this feels so natural after a while that you forget you didn't used to live this way. The seventh sign is the one that cuts deepest because it doesn't look like something they did to you. It looks like something that happened to you. It's this. You no longer trust your own judgment about what's normal. You catch yourself wondering if you're too sensitive, if you expect too much, if other people would be bothered by the things that bother you, or if you're just broken in some specific way. You poll your friends, not to vent, but to verify. Is this a normal thing to be upset about? You've been living so long inside a reality that was curated by someone else that you've lost the internal reference point that tells you what healthy feels like. This is the endgame of sustained emotional manipulation. It's not just that they controlled your emotions, it's that they colonized the part of you that evaluates your emotions. You became, without consenting to it, the keeper of their narrative, the one who absorbs, adjusts, explains, and ultimately defends them, even to yourself. Now, I want to be careful here because this kind of video can do 2 different things. It can clarify, or it can weaponize. What I'm describing are patterns. Patterns require consistency over time. One instance of guilt tripping doesn't make someone a manipulator. It might make them a person having a bad day, or someone who learned unhealthy communication from their own difficult history. What you're looking for is the accumulation, the way these things compound, the way they make you feel smaller, less certain, less yourself over weeks and months, not just in a single argument. And I'm not here to tell you what to do. This isn't a 7 reasons to leave video, because the decision to stay or go in a relationship, a friendship, a family dynamic is yours. And it's complicated, and no YouTube video gets to make it for you. But here's what I believe. The moment you have a name for something, it loses a portion of its power over you. When you can look at what's happening and say, clearly, without drama, this is blame shifting, or this is gaslighting, something shifts internally. You stop wondering if you're crazy. You stop auditing yourself for the flaw that's causing all of this. You start seeing the dynamic for what it is instead of experiencing it as weather, something that just happens to you with no discernible cause. You didn't lose your sense of reality. Someone worked very hard to make you doubt it. That's not a character flaw. That's not weakness. That's what happens to perceptive, empathetic people when they spend enough time in an environment that punishes honesty and rewards compliance. Your sensitivity was never the problem. It was the target. And the fact that you're here, listening to this, trying to make sense of something that never quite made sense, that's not dysfunction. That's the beginning of clarity. That's you, slowly, quietly, taking your own perceptions seriously again. Hold on to that.